A couple of days ago, I let out the biggest, most soul-cleansing, stress-relieving moan this world has ever seen. Folks, the new Pokemon has finally surfaced. Winds and Waves is here, and it actually looks good. I'm guessing this is how the world felt whenever the Avatar returned, dude. I'm telling you, the 100-year Pokemon Switch Era war is coming to a close. FireRed and Leaf Green also just hit the eShop, and besides just like overdosing on childhood nostalgia, it's actually been fixing my attention span. This is the first time in so many years that I have sat back down and replayed Gen 3 without any fast forwarding or EXP share, and who knows, maybe even now I'll start to read a book or something, I don't know. But the good news does not just stop there. Pokopia is also dropping this week, and the Metacritic scores for it have been genuinely some of the highest I have ever seen, and I don't know if this is like propaganda or if it's just confirming what we all hoped, that this is like a Animal Crossing Minecraft mashup slapper of a video game. And while the official releases here are starting to wake up, the underground of this corporate overlord's house has been cooking for quite some time, my friends. And the scene is only getting more ambitious here in 2026. I actually expect to see a ton of DS ROM hacks start to surface and hit the ground running. And when you zoom out and look at everything that's happening in the Pokemon world, I truly believe that what we're witnessing right now is a full-on Pokemon Renaissance. And I want to talk about every single bit here, especially the Winds and Waves release, because, you know, the Switch era has been truly the dark ages of this franchise, and I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, this entire generation just gave me chronic sadness and nothing but back pain. Oh yeah, and wait, speaking of back pain. Oh.
Alejandra!
What happened?
My back is doing that thing again. I've been sitting all day. I can't move.
Okay, do you need me to get the crane?
Yes, please. Oh.
Dude.
Oh my God, what just happened?
I don't know.
Okay, I think we're good.
Thank you so much to FlexiSpot for sponsoring this video and keeping my dogs fed. This is probably the most like accurate sponsor I've ever had. Like genuinely, I feel so passionately about standing. I spend at least 20 to 40 hours every single week just sitting at my desk, editing these videos, making thumbnails. And when I tell you that standing has been like the most important thing that I have changed about my lifestyle, I am not lying. We got my dog Zuko up here just chilling, and this can hold even like more than him, and it's super easy to adjust. Look at my boy, he's floating. He's floating. This is the E7 Pro. It comes with a 30-day risk-free return and a 15-year warranty. From the depths of my soul, like a standing desk is just a requirement at this point. And if you want a nice one like this, they've got it at the FlexiSpot website. You can use my code to get $30 off of your purchase of the E7 Pro. Or if your budget is a little bit tight, you can get just the regular E7. Thank you so much again to FlexiSpot for sponsoring this video. And we can get back to the Pokemon. The Switch Pokemon era in the past like 2+ decades of me being a Pokemon fan has by far been the biggest fish oil sized pill to swallow. We had like 15+ different releases in different styles, spin-offs, remakes, remasters, and of course mainline games. But between the horrible optimization, the rushed storylines, and the overwhelming amount of corporate greed, this entire set of games was more than just frustrating for me personally. That's not to say that I didn't enjoy some of these releases. I mean, Arceus is by far, I think, the most referenced and loved Switch Pokemon title, and I also personally enjoyed playing it as well. Although not perfect, the clear art style and new overworld mechanics and genuine attempt at something fresh in the Pokemon scene was very nice to see, and it was fun to play. And I'm almost kind of embarrassed to admit this, and I think I'm gonna get burned at the stake for even uttering these words, but I really enjoyed playing Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Despite the game looking so terrible and running worse than Mario Galaxy in 2007, I don't know why. I just had a lot of fun playing this game. Saying this in today's climate of objective Pokemon hate is frowned upon, but I actually enjoyed exploring around in this world, and although hideous, I thought traversing it and catching Pokemon and just playing the game was very satisfying to me. But these games, although fun, are titles that you had to swim through the muck if you wanted to find the source of any type of entertainment. They're kind of like lollipops with like a juicy bubblegum center, but then the outside exterior is vomit flavored. So if you want to get to that delicious center, you kind of got to lick through nastiness at first. And I'm just talking about these two, man. Everything else that got released on the Switch was only vomit flavored. Sword and Shield are my least favorite Pokemon games of all time. I refuse to believe that the final evolution of Sobble is this stick thing. They absolutely massacred my boys Diamond and Pearl. And don't even get me started on Pokemon Za, bro. The only redeeming quality that I found in this game was the fact that, I guess the battling system was like kind of quirky and unique for a little bit, but then everything else, holy, what is this world? What is this city? I tried playing a little bit of the Za. I couldn't get through it, but then I went to FireRed on the Switch 2, and it just made me realize that I have such a better connection with my Pokemon in the older titles than any of these newer releases. And I know that sounds kind of corny. Even though these older games are slower paced and the individual leveling is kind of annoying and tedious, I feel so much more satisfied and connected with my Pokemon because, I'm not just getting a bunch of random EXP share, and it doesn't feel like the game is trying to shove dopamine in my face. Like this Ivysaur that I've got, I worked for this, okay? I grinded individually for my boy. Meanwhile, in every other game, I just feel like my Pokemon could get run over by a bus, and I wouldn't care. So truly, I tell you, my friends, that the Switch 1 era, it was the dark ages of Pokemon. Existing with only these games created a huge need for old Pokemon games and to go back to the good old days. And must I remind you what our good friend Plato once said, necessity is the mother of invention. And boy, oh boy, did we get some inventions in the ROM hacking community during this time. At this point, you've heard me say this 1,000 times, but these are fan-made games that also give us cool new spins on the classic Pokemon versions, and people ask me how I got into ROM hacks, and the main door was literally just the Switch generation. I was craving, the core foundation of Pokemon like everybody else. That really connected with me at a time where Pokemon was going through some changes. 2025 was the peak of ROM hacks so far. It was a banger year. We got things like Pokemon Lazarus, Odyssey, and so many amazing titles. And what I really want to focus on here isn't the games, because I've already done that, but instead just shift our attention to the fact that the community has made such a big effort to create and keep this nostalgic form alive. And right here is the structure that kind of caused the Pokemon Renaissance that I'm talking about today. We had for years, a house that was divided between two parties. You had the modernists who were huffing copium and enjoying their 15 FPS open world games that looked like trash. And then you had the traditionalists who were retreating into the basement to build these Gen 3 masterpieces. But now, after waiting so long, it does feel as though the impossible is happening, and these two timelines of modern games and hopefully older releases that have been revolutionized by fans, they're all converging into one. And the glue that's keeping all of this together is the newest announcement for Winds and Waves. Now, this is all just speculation, and I really hope this video doesn't age poorly, just like my hair that is starting to gray at 26, but this looks good. Based off of Southeast Asia, you can tell that this game, not just through the geography and the layout, but the overall design, has a North Star guiding it. For once, there is a purpose, and it feels like there is some form of a direction with the art style in a Pokemon game. I think the visuals are what most of us are going to gravitate towards because it's such an improvement over the previous mainline title. Like, if you look at the comparison images, it is literally night and day. We've got textures and designs that look visually appealing, and most importantly for me, an environment that is potent and filled in. Different bushes, trees, and other plants, and it feels more more alive compared to, you know, what we previously had, which was just a big slab of green. The waves in the water and underground section look filled into the brim with Pokemon and other details. I was getting some like GameCube Phoenix City vibes from this structure right here from the trailer. And it's just nice to see like foliage in a Pokemon game. That's how down bad Pokemon fans are, dude. They got my ass talking about foliage. I'm 26 and I should probably go and get a job, but instead I'm here talking about foliage. Winds and Waves is only releasing on the Switch 2, which some people were complaining about, but this is so good to me, not only as somebody who does own a Switch 2, so I guess there is of course bias there, but like, come on, bro. If we keep getting like the Pokemon ZA releases where it's like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, we're never gonna get a game that uses the full capabilities of the newer hardware, which is the entire point of the newer hardware. The floor of the Switch 2 is just so much higher to give developers much more options with quality and details. I mean, have you seen Requiem on the Switch 2? It's insane. Even down to the soundtrack, dude, we're getting more details and a feeling of passion. I mean, if you listen to the main theme of this game, there's a full-on orchestra and it feels well thought out and not rushed. And of course, we've got the newer Pokemon starters. I think this is probably the most subjective thing that people are either complaining about or boasting about. I personally really like the design philosophy of all 3 of these. It's a little bit derivative and rudimentary. Like, I do think there are signs of other previous Pokemon, and you can see it's not like the most original thing, but dude, there's like 1,000 Pokemon at this point, and if we only look for original designs, we're gonna get like this again. People are getting so in the weeds with this stuff. They're like talking about if it's going to be bipedal and how many legs this furry boy is going to be using. I don't think it's that serious for me. I just like how all 3 of them look, and I am going to be Team Gekwa for now. But I'm warning you, Game Freak, there are 2 options of which path you can take for this guy. Please choose the right one. Okay, let me come back to reality for a little bit. Obviously, this is just a reveal trailer. There is nothing shown of gameplay. This is mostly just speculation. We could have a situation on our hands where the trailer and maybe the visuals do look better, but the core gameplay has just taken a huge hit. It would be the same issue that we had before, but in reverse. The lollipop would have a delicious outer exterior, but then the core center of the game would taste like vomit. After watching this, I did go back and watch the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet trailers, and oh my gosh, dude, I do not remember these trailers looking this horrible. Oh my word, dude. The trailers, I mean, they didn't even try to hide how awful these games looked. If you go back and check out the cinematics, it is painful. And in a way, this does give me at least a little bit of hope that like they didn't try to blatantly hide how horrible the game was going to be and look back then, so why would they do it now? So there's at least that copium that I'm falling into. I'm realizing now too, they didn't want to reveal the new starters in the game because they knew it would look like horrible, so they did this like skit to make it, I guess, more bearable for people who are watching it. Pokemon is such a huge franchise, and they take full advantage of the popularity. They charge a premium price tag for anything that has the Pokemon logo, and instead of using their resources fully, usually they'd rather just restrict their budget for maximum profit and then exploit that popularity. But I can't help but try to look at the positive opposite side of this coin. If it wasn't for the popularity of Pokemon, we wouldn't have all these incredible fan-made games and huge communities for us to feel involved and a part of. So depending on how you look at things, it can really be good or bad, and that's why I always advise that you take full advantage of the plethora of options that are out there to have fun and re-explore Pokemon. A lot of people talk about the 3DS and crown it as the ultimate Pokemon handheld because it can play all generations up to and including Generation 7, and it's all on original hardware here. You don't have to like go play it on an emulator. The Switch 2, on the other hand, while of course very expensive and very highly debated at this point, is turning into a true modern version of this, but very slowly. All of the Switch titles are obviously playable and backwards compatible on this machine, including now the newest drops for the Switch 2 exclusives like Winds and Waves. And with the release of FireRed and Leaf Green, I'm also hoping that we get way more ports added to the Switch 2. Like, imagine getting to play all of the mainline generations individually purchasable like FireRed and Leaf Green on the Switch 2. They would charge a premium for it, but a lot of people would be willing to take that cost up front to have an official machine able to play all of the games and the newer releases. I don't know how they would handle the DS or the 3DS era. It's a hard pass for me on the Chibi remakes. Like, this was just the worst remake I've ever seen. I really didn't like this. And then they're also paywalling for the Gale of Darkness in the subscription, and they're not releasing Coliseum first, so that is very disappointing to see, but there's still signs of life for the main line titles, which I think is what we would want to focus on. I'm not sure how they do it or if they do it, but regardless, the Switch 2 to me is starting to give me like slight 3DS vibes, and I know that might be, I don't know if that's a hot take. I might get torched in the comments. So I'm here to reiterate that the light at the end of this dark Switch tunnel is not just a little light bulb of the next generation, but instead it feels more like a sunrise of multiple different combining forces. And I just hope that Game Freak isn't about to turn this into that ending in SpongeBob with the exploding pie.
Let's eat.
My question to you though is like, what are your thoughts? Like, unfiltered, forget about the Reddit posts, forget about the YouTube videos, even this one. Like, what do you think about the way and the direction this whole entire franchise of Pokemon is moving? Also, right when this video drops, I will be live streaming Pokopia on this YouTube channel and on my Twitch channel over here at twitch.tv/turtle. So if you want to join and witness some beauty, then please go in there and yell at me in the chat. Where are we feeling? There's no game audio either. Where's the game audio, dude? What are we feeling, dude? The pins are just one massive wall. I hope this video ages well because, you know, being a Pokemon fan and having hope usually don't go hand in hand. But I believe so long as Gekwa doesn't turn into Slenderman, I believe.
A daily question, I might dodge the answer. Insecurities duplicated like stubborn cancer. I see myself in that mirror, but